Hello, Andrew Jobling, the accidental author. Great to be here, and great to be here with a new author of The Man Restarted, Steve Pinner. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Andrew. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning. Good. Well, whoever's listening to this or watching this, at whatever time of the day it is, we don't know. But, mate, thanks for being with me, and congrats on the new book.
Thank you very much. It's very exciting, and I obviously have a fair debt of gratitude to pay to you for your support over the years in getting this project up and going, giving me a kick in the pants when I need it, and it's finally there now.
Well, mate, thank you, but you're the one that did it, and so I think you need to take credit for persisting. And I know it's taken a few years, hasn't it, mate? How long has this book been in the journey until it's now in your hands? Let's have a look at it, mate, while you
yes, I'll hold it up. Hopefully it doesn't affect the virtual background there, but there it is.
It is
designed by Patricia Spall, from who's one of my sister-in-law's design friends. So
awesome.
I've pulled in some favours with with a few things, but I think I sat down with you in a cafe in Rosanna in probably mid 2015 with a very loose plan to write a book about turning 40. So it's certainly evolved a lot since then. And as I've said to a number of people, the final version or the outcome, I couldn't have written it 2 years ago, let alone 5 years ago. So I had a long journey of knowledge and discovery myself. I had a lot of pieces to fit into place, hence my puzzle piece theme, which is all about finding the pieces to your midlife puzzle. But I had to really. There were some things that I was, well on top of, but I'm a student of this stuff too. So I might just be a little bit further along the pathway of than some of my my potential readers. So
absolutely,
yes.
Mate. And so the book is written for men, but it's also very applicable for women. It's also very applicable for young people as well, who are wanting to really, I guess, understand themselves and live their best life. What was the inspiration, mate? Tell us the reason why you decided to write it, and tell us about, as you said, the book now. You couldn't have written the book 2 years, let alone 5 years ago. Tell us about what's changed for you to actually now write the book that you feel proud of.
Yeah. Well, I look back now, and there are a number of prompts that turned it from, as I said, that book about a bit of a lighthearted book about turning 40 and being a man 40 with a family and a mortgage and all the challenges that go with that. The first one was I got involved with a charity called Feel the Magic, which is a childhood grief charity. So they look after kids that have lost a parent. So I went up to it's called Camp Magic. This organisation. So Feel the Magic, and they run camps called Camp Magic, where grieving kids come together. They're assigned a mentor, and they spend a weekend of I won't just say grief not counselling, but it's a program that allows them to understand their grief, and then more importantly make friends. Because the one thing with a kid who's lost someone like that at school, they're not just there's Jack who loves his basketball, there's Jack who lost his dad. So unbelievably tragic. So I lost my dad when I was 21, and it rocked my world. So for a child to lose a parent younger than that, it's pretty horrific. So and I remember standing in a room, and we'd separated into groups, and I'd gone up there as a mentor. And it just struck me, I think there were about 40 odd kids there, and there were maybe 5 kids that had lost their mum and 30 odd that had lost their dad. And I just kind of thought, gee whiz, these are dads of my vintage, and I've got young kids. And so that was kind of a prompt to help me engage with these dads. And a lot of those deaths were preventable. There were, there were suicides, there were, addictions, there was all sorts of stuff that was going on. But so that became kind of my mission, to try to put Camp Magic out of business. And I've spoken to the founders of Camp Magic, and they fully support my mission. So there was that, and there was my own sort of midlife sort of battles of getting into my early 40s. I lost a job that I loved just through the old restructure, and I was found at 42 or something like that, just all of a sudden looking at my professional life with a big question mark. So that prompted me to look a bit more deeply into, I suppose, man IQ. And I realised that the middle years of a man's life are probably along with his teenage years, are probably the time of biggest struggle. So, and my background as a teacher, and I'd worked with especially with teenage boys for a long time. I'd already put together quite a foundation of knowledge for the adolescent side of things, and it's amazing how much corresponded with middle age. So, which I hope to get to at some stage and have a chat with you about that.
For sure, mate. Okay, well, that's awesome. Yeah, you're right. There's, for some reason, which we might explore just really briefly, there's a lot of challenges for men. And I think we spoke on a podcast recently that range between 35 and 55 years old for men. They seem to come into this space where all of a sudden they've lost maybe touch with why they're doing what they're doing, what their purpose is. You know, they're probably not happy after 10, 15, 20 years in the workforce. They're not fulfilled. They don't feel like they're maybe being a great role model or a great parent or whatever they feel. And there really is this natural, well, it's not natural. I think it happens, but it's not natural. I mean, what do you feel like that period in a man's life, there's so much struggle there?
Yeah, it's, you know what, I think, and as we were talking about in the podcast, we one of the biggest breakthroughs I had was stumbling upon this study that was done in the early 1970s by a gent called Levinson, who found that he was looking at middle age and whether it's developmental stages of life, just like in childhood and adolescence. And he did find that there is a time around about 40 that men go through this midlife transition, which is going from your young adulthood to your older adulthood. And how it affects us varies from man to man. So, you know, some feel that old stereotype of, you know, leaving their wife and buying a red Jag and, you know, popping a 23-year-old secretary in the bedroom, which is probably just as dangerous as deciding to jump out of an aeroplane and, you know, try to get in touch with your younger self through thrill seeking. So, but, you know, there's obviously, for a lot of people, it's a lot deeper than that. And people might call it the midlife crisis. I like to look at it as a necessary rite of passage that you have to go through. And what I've done my very best in this book is to provide real life strategies for men that are going through that midlife transition to come out the other side happy, optimistic about their future, enthusiastic, connected with their partner and their mates and their life. So, but it's just something I think some men don't even realize they're going through it. It's just, as I said, sometimes you wake up one morning and you think, is this all there is to life? And the question is no. There's a lot more. There's a lot more fun and love and happiness. We just need to find a way to get in touch with it.
We do. And you mentioned the book, you know, is primarily for those men in that period of their life. But as we sort of chatted about on the podcast, you know, I think younger men, teenagers, young men, well and truly before that period of their life, that can start to learn and apply some of the principles that you discuss in the book, is going to help
absolutely
them either prevent going through those struggles or help make it easier for them. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you know, I'm a massive rap for. I mean, I'll be doing it with my son, which is setting up a couple of things actually, but one is a well-structured, well-planned rite of passage experience for him, and not just one from adolescence into manhood, but he might undergo a number. He might undergo. He's 11 now, so he's transitioning to high school now. So you know, we'll be doing some things to celebrate him becoming a secondary school student, you know, and making him feel not just special about that he's got to this age, and with it comes more freedoms, but more responsibilities. You know, you celebrate his qualities, okay, and I think we spoke about how empathy and compassion in men can be still looked at as a weakness. We're doing our very best to celebrate those parts that are naturally inherent with him, as much as, you know, the sporting success or the academic success. So a rite of passage, and also having great male role models, whether it's a father or a father figure. There's a fantastic book called The Boy Crisis, which I recommend anyone who's involved, is a parent or a teacher or a police officer or a politician or anyone should read, because it just sets up beautifully the challenges that the boys in our world have in front of them and how we can support them. So, because the world's changed for boys.
Yeah.
So having a father figure, whether ideally it's a dad, but it doesn't have to be. I coach a lot of junior sport, and for some boys, I'm the person that they look up to, because dad's either not around, or maybe dad doesn't understand the vitally important role that he has. So because he hasn't learned it from his dad, and all the way through the ages.
So true, isn't it? And there's a point now in generations where there needs to be a change, because a lot of those really toxic kind of behaviours are perpetuated from generation to generation, and they do lead, we can see it in society today, they lead to tragic consequences. Absolutely. For not just the men who suicide, but for the women and the kids that are part of their lives. So this is a critical book, mate, and I love that you've written it now, and I just want to encourage every single person that is a man, was a man, will become a man, and was a man. Now, I've got to be a bit careful what I said there, but he's in a relationship with a man. This is a book. So from that point of view, mate, how does the book impact women? What's the relevance for a woman reading the book?
Well, it's funny. As I found as I was writing this book, I was almost writing almost like a bit of a giveaway to my wife. So I was trying to give her a bit of I suppose the inside word on why I am the way I am. So and why I am frustrating, and why I do things that she looks at me and shakes her head, and I'm a imperfect work in progress like everyone. But so in terms of what I think women would get out of this book, I think it's helping them understand where their man's coming from, and how they can, especially the relationship, the chapter on relationships. That's a chapter especially that needs to be read together, because it does take two to tango, and you can have all the information in the world and improve your relationship and your love IQ and all those sorts of things. But if the other person isn't aware of it or isn't making the effort, then it's a waste of time. So, I certainly hope that women read it and understand I've written it as towards blokes, and I've written it in a language that is me. So I use a little bit of colourful language now and again, and I've intentionally aimed it at blokey blokes, and because they're the men that can really do with some help. There's a lot of content out there I've found that appeals to people that seek it out naturally, but this one I'm trying to cut through, and I'm trying to introduce some concepts that the everyday bloke in the street thinking about, how can I bring more mindfulness into my life? Well, it doesn't have to be meditation. It can be having a mindful moment where you're just watching your kids play, or with your mates, and you're just sitting around having a beer, and you go, this is a great part of my life, which is hugely beneficial to our mental well-being. So so that's been the goal, to write it in a way that is very easily digestible, I suppose.
Well, mate, if you're going to get blokes reading books, it needs to be, right. You talk about blokey blokes, even the word mindfulness. I think a lot of them go, "What do you mean, mind? What are you talking about? Shut up and have a beer."
Absolutely.
So you've got to make it readable for them. You've got to make it enjoyable. You've got to put it in their language. Otherwise, they're not going to read.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, a lot of the stuff that's in here 5 years ago, I would have looked at it and gone, "No, that's not for me." But I challenge myself, and I'm much better for the experience. Some of the concepts in here, as I said a few years ago, I probably wouldn't have thought that I'd become massive reps for them. But I see the value that they have in them, and it works. And it doesn't work just for me; it works for thousands of other people. So my message to men and women and younger men that are reading this is, what have you got to lose to have a crack at it? It can totally change your life. And that's not an exaggeration.
No, it's not. And I love we were speaking in the podcast recently, and you said one of your goals in the book is to annoy people, to challenge men. And I think we need to be challenged. Men need to be challenged. They may not agree with that, they may not accept that, but they need, because if we're doing things that are not giving us the life we want or the results we want, then we need to change something.
Absolutely.
I love the fact that your book's not just about nice talk, but it's about actions and about doing stuff, and it's about, getting a bit uncomfortable and challenging your prevailing wisdom or your prevailing belief system that you maybe have held onto for 30, 40 years of your life or more. So, mate, it sounds like an awesome book. And I know there's one on the way to me, which can't wait to read it.
It is.
For people that would like to get their hands on it, and I know, it's only a few days before Christmas as we're recording this, and if you're watching this a few days before Christmas and you're still looking for a Christmas present, how do people get it?
The quickest way is going to www.manrestarted, all together, that is, manrestarted.com.au, and you'll order it through the shop on there. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but what are we, Tuesday before Christmas? I'm actually going to do a hand delivery service on Thursday around Metro Melbourne. So if anyone orders before Thursday, I'm going to do a get out, hit the road with my face mask on, and do contact-free, safe delivery for anyone who'd like to get one and pop it under the tree for someone special.
All right, mate. Well, you put the pressure on me to get this little interview produced and uploaded and out there. So anyway, mate, good job. Congrats on the book. It's awesome. It sounds like an amazing book. You've not just written a book. What you've done is you've evolved into a man that has got some stuff to share, and so it's less about the book and more about, I guess, the man you've become. But the book is just some incredible wisdom around how you can help other men and families and kids be the best they can be. So, mate, congrats.
Thank you very kindly, mate. I really appreciate it, and as I said, thank you for your support and encouragement. Eventually got there, so it's
mate.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
And you've started your next book, haven't you?
I've started chipping away at a little follow-on. So, there might be a bit of a theme I've got here. So, I've got Man Restarted. There might be Your Body Restarted, Your Relationships Restarted. So nice. Keep an eye out for that.
Awesome, mate. Good job. Thanks, Steve.
Brilliant. Thanks, Andrew.